Today is apparently Blue Monday, but not on this show. The third Monday in January, said to be the most depressing day of the year. So we're here to boost your mood. There's an added difficulty to Blue Monday and us feeling a little bit depressed this time of the year. All things to do with the weather, with stress, with low motivation, with bills, with failing your New Year's resolutions already. But add to the mix the pandemic, then obviously that makes things even bigger. If you are struggling during lockdown, feeling a little bit isolated, missing family, or even just bored, then luckily for us, we've got James Leeper with us with some words of advice, who's a career management and life coach who lives in Sedbergh. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Val. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you very much. No, I'm good. It's not a Blue Monday for me.
No, it isn't. It looks pretty dark and sort of cloudy and miserable outside my window at the moment, looking at Courtly Spout. But then looking at Courtly Spout itself, it brings a smile. So, fantastic view I've got from here. So that always brings a smile.
Do you know, James, sometimes with this, is it kind of your own state of mind? Because some people, can see the positives in things and other people hone in on the negative, don't they?
They do, and they can. And this is where we have to sort of think a little bit about the people who find themselves demotivated. It's to actually, for us who find it a little easier to be motivated, what can we do to help them? And there's little doubt about it, in my mind. Smiling is an enormously helpful thing to do, especially when asking the question around who is my neighbour? And look around, and it doesn't matter whether one's going for a walk with the dog or just by oneself or just walking out the front door to look around. Smile at people and find out how they are, and take it from there.
That's a very easy thing to do, isn't it? It doesn't take any effort at all, but it can make a huge difference to the person who's being smiled at.
It does, and even and I appreciate immediately someone will be thinking, oh, what about the neighbour from hell? Oh dear, one is automatically into the negative thinking. Is actually think positive as much as possible about that person by just giving them a smile. Don't have to say anything, just smile and go back indoors or go carry on with the day that needs to be done.
And isn't it kind of remembering, it might be the neighbour from hell, but they may be the neighbour from hell for a reason. They may have something dreadful going on in their lives that we don't know about.
Indeed. And one of the things about smiling is it sometimes allows people to listen as well. And in this very busy world of ours, even though we may be locked down, we may not be inclined to want to listen, but listening helps enormously. Just sit standing there or inviting someone in for a cup of tea if you're allowed to with COVID, or have a cup of tea outside, social distancing. It doesn't matter. It's just that listening that can help. And of course, what I've found is that by doing that, one's opening up something which I call generosity of heart. And that generosity of heart begins to sort of make me feel positive as well. I'm sure it makes other people feel positive. I've seen that happen as well. So it's a sort of little bit of help.
It's almost like letting people know that they're not on their own, and there are people out there who are willing to be there when they need a little bit of help. I suppose, talking is one thing, but it's probably not going to solve the problems of people if they are feeling miserable for a variety of reasons. Like we said, the things that add up to being Blue Monday are the weather, stress, low motivation, bills, debt, in other words. You failed your New Year's resolution, so you don't feel too great about yourself. So talking isn't going to help initially, but it's a start. Is that what we're saying?
It is. It's not. It's the listening. I know it's the listening to the person who needs to talk. And that allowing what I call the pauses. Now, not everybody can do this. What I would be suggesting is that where a person looks as though they need a bit more help, then think about how that help might be given. To really sort of ask them to, is there something that they might like help indoors with, or whatever, and then set about arranging it. I mean, this dreadful COVID-19 has caused chaos in one sense, because how we can go about helping people presents a challenge. But in itself, meeting the challenge is a very positive approach, and it's creating that positivity that helps everybody.
Yeah, I think one thing that's probably dragging people down is the fact that we've not a great deal to look forward to as yet. We can't plan, can we? Because we don't know how long, certainly the cloud of the pandemic is going to be hanging over us. So it's making life, because times are strange, it's making life difficult.
Ah, right. Okay. Well, I hope this will be helpful for people who are listening. The thing to take into account, and I learnt this from someone a long time ago, is that sometimes we can control the things we can control, and sometimes we can't control the things we can't control, and there's no point trying to. Therefore, look at what matters in the now, at this very moment. So instead of trying to plan ahead and becoming frustrated, just think about the now and what's going to happen in the next half hour or hour or for the rest of the day. And then at the end of the day, have just write on a piece of paper, write 3 columns down, what I like about the day, what I'd like to see more of from the day, and what I'd like to see less of from the day. And they just have the little bullet points. And to use those to help feel positive about the day that's been, because it will help for the next day.
Simple things, aren't they? Simple but effective.
They can be very effective. I mean, there's a lot more that we can do as well. Little actions of generosity are things that it's happening all over the place, certainly in the environment, but little actions of generosity always help. The other bit that people might like to is, obviously exercise is a good thing, but some people can't go for much of an exercise at the moment. However, we can have a mental exercise, which is around curiosity. Let curiosity feed the brain and ask questions. And then where one's got access to the internet, to then look things up and say, oh, right, because what one's doing is continually learning and getting the brain to think about other things rather than the things internally, which actually seem to demotivate us and feel bad about ourselves. So what we're doing is positively thinking about things that will help make the day become better.
Well, we're hopefully keeping people from really getting into the doldrums and really feeling blue today with some of the sayings as well that will have been said to many people across the years. Do they help, James? Do they help when somebody turns round to you and says, as one door closes, another one opens?
It depends on the frame of mind of the individual. And this is where the listening skills come in. It's a phrase I use is opening the listening channels. Now, we live in a world where we have a lot of projection at the moment and people telling us what to do. I don't know whether you are aware of it, but I certainly am, and I fall into the trap myself, where we use this word you as if we're speaking for the other person, and yet that person has never given us permission to do so. So what I try and help people do is to think about how they're going to be able to turn the day round in a way which allows them to be more reflective, to review, to reflect, and also this word which I know a lot of people find very difficult is to reconcile. Reconcile where they are. And when a person is demotivated, there are reasons. And it's coming to terms with those reasons and acknowledging and accepting that. Now, that can be very, very difficult when one is by oneself. When I'm by myself and I'm feeling a bit low, because we do have low days and we do have high days, I know that it becomes slightly more difficult, and we therefore turn into ourselves. So the trick, as I call it, is to then think outwards and think of things that will be of benefit to other people. And it is this very gentle phrase I use, that generosity of heart. Allow one's generosity of heart to be freely given. And it doesn't mean necessarily free, but freely given. And just let people respond to it. Again, smiling. It's all these little things that really do help.
James, thank you for joining us on the show today. Career management and life coach, living in Sedbergh,